What's up, guys? Iron Books here. Ain't shirtless this time around, mostly because, well, it's cold as shit. We're coming to the end parts of fall where I'm at, so pretty cold weather. Anyways, haven't got any new books so far. In like a couple days, I'll probably be buying two to four new books so I can start reading again. Haven't gotten paid yet, so that's why I haven't gotten any books. But I did want to go through a sort of big haul of books I have not done mini reviews. If any of you guys have seen my short content, my shorts content has basically been filled with mini reviews. I did all of the mini reviews of the Dune series, and I also did the first mini review of the Green Creek series, with the first book being Wolf's Song. And so I'm planning on just doing all these books, real quick mini reviews, overall thoughts, and also to kind of give me a whole bunch of content to post a bunch on my shorts, basically. And so it's going to be a double thing. The overarching big mini review haul of all the books that I have not shown that I have read. I've read every single one of these. Some I have a good memory with. Some I have lost a lot of my memory, especially the ones I read in middle school. It's been so long since I've read a couple of these that honestly I need to reread them, which is probably what I'm going to do next year for fall, is a big nostalgia 3-month read. That's my plan, but who knows if I actually get there. Anyways, so let's start off with some easier stuff. So there's going to be a lot of cuss in this video, mostly because of me trying to get shorts content. So the first thing we're going to start with is some nostalgia books that I read in middle school. First book that I'm going to start with for my one mini review and ultra review is Salamander Strong by Brian Jacques, don't really know how to pronounce it. Salamander Strong, part of the Redwall series. The Redwall series during middle school was probably my most really nostalgic for me. They are a part of my childhood, and I will remember these books specifically very fondly. They scratch a sort of medieval itch that I haven't really gotten scratched much nowadays. Now with watching HEMA content, I'm able to scratch that itch, but not so much in terms of films and all that. I have been getting into some medieval stuff in terms of film watching, so it's nice to get back into that. But specifically animals in a medieval setting, Redwall is the bread and butter. If you're thinking about that type of environment, you have to read Redwall series. All of the books are amazing in my opinion. I think I've only read 4, maybe 5, and it's like a 20-something book series. Very extensive, but has some amazing stuff in there. The first book that I think I read at all being Salamander Strong, which is not the first chronologically or publication-wise. But it doesn't really matter, because the Redwall series, you're able to read out of order, basically. There's no real order to it, except for maybe like Martin the Warrior and Mossflower. Maybe you could do those in a specific order, read the Martin first and then Mossflower, which is the next book that I'm going to talk about. But I don't know, man. This is, like I said, this is probably going to be a big cut here, but I don't remember much about this, nor do I do about Mossflower. I remember key aspects of both of them, but not much in terms of actual details. All I remember is that these had very wholesome, very adventurous, very just, if I was able to fully embrace the world, I was immersed in each one of these books to an astounding degree. They're amazing. Read the Redwall series. They're amazing books. They might be... Now here's the thing about the Redwall series. If you've read 2 or 3, you've kind of read them all in a sense. Not in terms of recurring characters, but in terms of recurring plots. The plots in each of these books are extremely simple. And if you're one for a complicated story, these books ain't gonna be it. Point blank and simple. Salamander Strong, for instance. All it is basically looking for specific characters and then running away from other specific characters. That's the big thing in this book. And then Mossflower. Very simple. People are imprisoned, and the hero in this story trying to help those who are imprisoned. Very simple story, but super impactful, man. These scratch my nostalgia itch so bad. They're amazing books. Amazing books that I'm definitely going to reread. The prose, in my opinion, is incredible. It's just amazing, point blank. You gotta read them all. I have to read them all, which I'm going to do at some point, is reread the ones I've read and also read the rest of the series. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, so first couple mini reviews. Redwall's amazing stuff. Check it out. Now we go to the next thing, of which I have even less memory of. The World series by Curtis Joblin. I've read only the first 2 books out of the, I believe, 4 or 5 books of the series. Don't remember much, besides it basically being a world where there's a bunch of different werewolf creatures. So there's werewolves, there's were-lions, there's were-sharks, were-bears, were-boars, were-foxes. They're filled with so much kind of like Beastman content. These books scratch the Beastman itch that I have for the Warhammer universe. If any of you guys know that universe, the Beastmen are pretty much my favorite faction in fantasy / Age of Sigmar. They're just amazing in my opinion. Amazing faction, and this reminds me a lot about it. Now the thing is about this series is that I don't know if I actually like it. And what I mean by this is that, well, it's been so long that I only remember maybe 1 or 2 scenes in each book. And so I'm planning on, for my nostalgia run in next fall, to reread a bunch of these series. I have a bunch of planned, but you want something interesting, you want something different, because there's not that many werewolf books out there, in my opinion. There's not that many werewolf books, let alone a were world where there's multiple different were creatures, beastmen creatures. There's not that much in books, man. Not even with high fantasy stuff. There's not that much out there. So I would say if you want that sort of Beastman itch from Warhammer, try these out, man. Though for my werewolf guys out there, guys and girls out there, that like the horror werewolf setting, you're not going to get that. Think Underworld. These are very much basically medieval werewolf stuff, right? Medieval werebeasts is what you're going to be getting from this series. And it does really well at that from what I remember. I remember one scene in the book, in the first one, being pretty good. But then again, I'd have to reread, which is what I'm planning on doing. And then we go to the last books that I have personally read, which I remember even less of the werewolf series. The Septimus Heap books. I'm gonna be frank here. I remember Jack Squad this series. I remember one scene in the first book. I remember nothing of the second book. And I remember nothing of the third book. I know I read up to 3. I remember not liking the third book. I remember really liking the first book. So I can't really recommend it because I don't really remember much about it. All I know is that I'm going to be rereading this series as well at some point in time. I have too many books on my TBR, let me tell you that. But what I remember from my childhood, I believe I read this in late elementary. Some stuff. Now we go to some books that I remember a little bit more of. I have read fully one Old Republic book. Deceived. Star Wars Old Republic Deceived. Overall, an interesting book. I remember maybe a few vague scenes, and then obviously the scene that the entire trailer is based off of. I remember reading that whole passage, and I remember reading it and being fascinated with how Malgus talked during that fight with that one Jedi Master. But nothing much else besides that. It's action heavy, has some cool dialogue, and I would say check them out. I've heard that the rest of the series are really good. I've read halfway through Revan, but I never finished it. And I'm planning on, like with books, to try to reread the Old Republics. And I might delve a little bit further on, maybe not. I'll see what I can do. Anyways, now we are at books that I can remember clearly. First and foremost, The Emperor's Soul by Brandon Sanderson. Going to be a hot take. Definitely going to be a hot take, especially if any of you guys watch Tutor Ramble. You know that Richard really likes this book specifically. I thought it was mid. I thought The Emperor's Soul was mid. And I'll even give you my notes and then talk a little bit more about it. I gave The Emperor's Soul a flat 3 out of 5 stars. Completely mid-average to me. Here are my notes for it. Fantastic world building. Prose was okay. Characters were okay. Plot was very simple. In terms of world building, which is what I, in my opinion, is the best category of this entire book, it has the best world building that I have ever read in a small book. So, hats off to Brandon Sanderson. Amazing world building in less than a couple hundred pages. Fantastic work. Honestly, I kind of want to give this as the example for a world building exercise. Try to build as big a world as you can in 200 pages or less. I feel like this is what this book represents. That sort of challenge, that benchmark, so to speak. In terms of world building, amazing. I would give it a 5 out of 5 if it was just world building. But it ain't just world building. There's characters and there's plot. Also a magic system as well. The magic system was cool. I didn't think it was anything special. It was cool, you know? You stamp stuff and you copy it. And you change certain things. It was cool, but it didn't impress me as much as it impressed other people. Characters, which I think is the weakest part of every category. I didn't particularly like any of the characters. Shay, the main character, I just thought was really basic. She just seemed there as a bit of a plot device. Because she is who the plot is basically all surrounded by. And they were serviceable. They served their purpose in the story. And of the two characters that I did like, the Emperor and the Bloodsealer, you barely get anything out of them. You get a little bit of the Emperor at the end of the book, and then you get sprinkles of the Bloodsealer throughout the book. Those two were favorite, but there wasn't much of them. And so that's why I only gave Emperor's Soul a 3 out of 5. It was good, but not good or amazing or fucking fantastic. It is what it is. Now, what I did think was absolutely fantastic by Brandon Sanderson was Tress of the Emerald Sea. The best book that I have read from him so far. I'll give you my notes. 5 out of 5 stars. I believe this book is his best book so far. Best of Sanderson so far. Prose was actually really good in this book. Humor was fantastic. World was amazing. Characters were interesting. Twist was unexpected. Spoiler warning here. I did not expect the twist of, I forgot the characters' names now, but the rat being the love interest. I did not expect that whatsoever. It hit me hard like a truck, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? Really good twist by Brandon Sanderson, in my opinion. Romance was okay, and action was incredible. The action in this book was pretty damn good by Brandon Sanderson. I don't know what he was on when he was writing Tress, but man, it hit hard, and it's me a lot. And so I gave Tress of the Emerald Sea a 5 out of 5. I thought it was freaking fantastic. And then we go to Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. By the way, beautiful cover by whoever illustrated this cover. Beautiful. Tran Nguyen. Beautiful cover. Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I thought it was pretty good. Better than Emperor's Soul, but nowhere near as good as Tress. I'll give you my notes here. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Romance was satisfying. Amazing world. Decent humor. Average prose. And interesting twists. I expected the twists because a lot of the inspirations that Brandon Sanderson had for this book, I have already watched. I watched Your Name. I watched the other stuff he was talking about. A lot of the examples he gave for inspirations, I have already watched. And the characters were funny. They were funny. They were serviceable. I liked them. I liked the alien characters as well. I thought they were pretty interesting and pretty funny. And the magic system was cooler than Emperor's, not as cool as Tress's, but still pretty cool. It's very basic. It's just painting, right? And for Yumi, rock stacking, right? Very basic, but did pretty well. And the action was okay in this book. The romance was cute, wholesome, and overall, at the end, was very satisfying. So I gave Yumi and Nightmare Painter a 3.5. Now we get to the really good stuff, in my opinion. So, one of the books that I have read from TJ Klune, and if you guys have watched my content for the last month or two, you know I am a big TJ Klune fan. He is my favorite author of all time, besides Frank Herbert. And I will do Under the Whispering Door first. Standalone, not part of any particular series. And I'll give you my notes before I delve into it deeper. 5 out of fucking 5 stars in my opinion. Fantastic message throughout the entire book. Comedy was very good. Characters were fantastic. I loved every single character in this book. Even the characters you're supposed to hate, I loved. Nancy was interesting. The one character in the book, spoilers, that lost their daughter and due to some mishaps realizes that the main love interest knows how to talk to people. The manager was very interesting. The manager was super... His character, their character in the book, was probably the most interesting character. This being of power in the image of a little black boy with blonde cornrows and flowers throughout it. I thought the imagery was amazing. TJ Klune's description of the manager was, in my opinion, very fantastic. TJ Klune's prose is perfection, in my opinion. And the romance in Under the Whispering Door rivals Wolfsong. Not the best, not better than Wolfsong. It's able to compete somewhat, but Wolfsong has the benefit of an entire series to continue the development of Ox and Joe, while Under the Whispering Door has only one. So, it is what it is, but still an amazing book in my opinion. Check out fucking TJ Klune. Check out TJ Klune. Amazing, amazing book. Amazing book. Now we get to one more standalone before I go to a specific series. The Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune, of course. And by the way, amazing covers. TJ Klune has the best covers in the fucking game. Most of them are made by Red Nose Studio. Amazing, amazing art studio. Makes the most incredible covers, which you'll see in these Green Queen novel books. Amazing fucking covers. The Bones Beneath My Skin by TJ Klune. A standalone sort of sci-fi, though very light on the sci-fi. Overall, it was good. Not his best work, but it makes sense. It is an older book of his. But it was pretty good. And I'll give you my notes. A 3.75. Good romance, decent action, fantastic finish, interesting characters, and interesting time period. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's either early 90s or late 70s. In that time period of where phones started to become a thing, of where credit cards started to become a thing. The romance between, oh my god, I forgot all the characters. I think the main protagonist is Nick. I think. Him and his love interest, which is a retired veteran man as well. This is a gay book, as is most of TJ Klune's books. Pretty damn good romance, little slow burn, and then went straight into it throughout the later half of the book, which I particularly like. All characters were interesting. The sci-fi elements, so spoilers again, one of the characters is an alien. I think TJ did a decent job. He didn't explain a lot of the scientific aspects of the book, but it makes sense. The two main protagonists who are alongside this alien character aren't scientists. One is a news anchor or a writer for a news article, and the other is a old military veteran. Why would they know anything about how the science works with the alien? And so it kind of makes sense that they don't know too much about anything, really. And that's why I gave The Bones Beneath My Skin 3.75. The action was pretty dang good as well. There's some big... This would be a very good film. A very good standalone film that has some decent action, decent dialogue, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. Then we get to The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune again. Fantastic book. I have also read the sequel, and I have the sequel, but it's in my sister's room, so I won't go and get that. But this and Somewhere Beyond the Sea, which is the sequel to House in the Cerulean Sea. By the way, beautiful cover. Look at that blue cerulean fucking green / blue. Oh. Ah! Beautiful cover. Fantastic duology. A little bit more political than his other books are, in my opinion. But they're political stuff that I agree with. So, doesn't really matter too much. And it is very wholesome. This and the sequel could very easily be wholesome, funny children's films. Let me go on my notes. A 4.75, almost floored me. Hilarious comedy. It was funny from start to finish throughout this entire book, especially because the main character is kind of an imbecile, so to speak. He is awkward and just gets himself into funny situations when talking to other people. Unique characters. All of the characters in here are, well, very unique. This is a fantasy duology where, besides humans, there are a society of magical creatures as well. Interesting world. We are set with Linus, the main character, being basically a child services person for the magical youth. Interesting politics, like I said. This and the sequel to House in the Cerulean Sea are a lot more political than his other books, but not too much. They edge the line a little bit, but not too much. Satisfying romance, a very wholesome romance between the two characters, one who is a head of an orphanage, and then Linus, our child services character. And the first book needed more world building, which the second book did help a little bit. And I'll talk about the second book a little bit before I move on. Second book, Somewhere Beyond the Sea, a little bit more political than the first book, still quite hilarious, has interesting characters, and has the most fantastic fucking finish in a book I have ever read. The finish in this book is so action heavy, so otherworldly, magical, and fantastic. It's a beautiful ending to the duology, in my opinion. Fantastic ending that you guys need to read. Check the duology out. There is a controversy in terms of the inspiration for these books. I am one to not really care. I tend to separate the artist from the art very easily. I don't really give a crap about any of the authors, just their works. So I can easily disconnect myself from it. So some will call me ignorant, and I think they'd be right. But it's just how I roll. And now we get to what I alluded to before with the Green Creek novels. The rest of the mini, like I said, I have already done the mini review of Wolfsong, which is the first book in the series. Has the best romance by far, though needed some help with world building, which is where Ravensong comes in. By the way, look at this beautiful cover, the splayed edges, fantastic special edition paperbacks, dude. It has this rubber-like texture as well. TJ Klune he's an animal, alright? He's an animal in this market, alright? Fantastic fucking books. Second book, Ravensong. Let me get my notes, because I do remember the big arching themes of each book, but not much else. 5 out of 5, and by the way, all of these books are going to be 5 out of 5 for the Green Creek novels. Every single one of them floored me. This one the least so, and I'm actually inclined to lower this rating to 4.75, but no, I still love these books. And the sequels highlight the aspects of the second book, so it's still a 5 out of 5. Romance was good, but not better than Wolfsong. Wolfsong has the best romance. Fantasy and world building was much better. Much better world building this time around in the second book than in the first book. In the first book, it's very light. Very light world building is set up in the first book. But in this book, since we have a change of perspective, much better world building. And much more interesting villains. This is going to be a hot take for all of the Green Creek fans out there. The first book's villain was complete ass. I didn't give a shit or thought that the character was interesting at all. I didn't like the villain. Not because they were a bad person, though they obviously were. He just wasn't interesting. He was not interesting at all. And so I didn't even give a fuck. Halfway through the first book, I forgot he even existed. He wasn't interesting. But the second book's antagonist, much better. Better action as well. Fantastic stuff. And then we go to my favorite of the Green Creek novels. Overall, not favorite romance, but favorite book, Heartsong. The third book of the Green Creek novels. Look at this fucking cover. The red oak splayed edges. Fantastic stuff. The best book. The best plot. The best twist. And some really good action at the end as well. Fantastic fucking book. The best out of the entire 4-book quadrilogy. 5 out of 5, like all the others are. Beginning was fucking fantastic because of the twist in the middle. Character's perspective was interesting because of the twist. Prose was amazing. All of these books in the Green Creek novels have the most unique prose I have ever read. The Green Creek novels, to give you guys some context, was the reason why I got back into reading in my grown-ass age. If it wasn't for these books, I would not have kept reading. The prose impressed me so much that I have to read more books after this. I have to. Fantastic stuff that really, really hit me hard. World building was great. Much more world building in this than the first two. And romance was almost on par with the first book. I still get a little bit stuck in between the first book and the third book in terms of romance. But due to one scene I don't particularly like in the third book, the first romance is still the best romance. Though, very good romance in this book. And by the way, the second book's romance was my least favorite. A bit toxic in that one. So that's why I give Heartsong a 5 out of fucking 5. And then the last book in the Green Creek novel, Brother Song. Worst cover by far. I was too impatient to wait for the special edition paperbacks. And so I just got a hardbook, a hardcover. I really need to replace this with these special edition paperbacks because they look so fucking fantastic. Because it has the purple, but in the splayed edges, and the design on here was magnifique. All right. So, last book of the Green Creek novels. Overall, a beautifully strong finish. And the beginning was very interesting. We go into a bit of a traveling sequence throughout the first quarter of the book. 5 out of fucking 5. Beginning and middle was fantastic. Romance was on par with Wolfsong again, though not superior. Last battle was slightly confusing. These are older books of T.J. Klune, so the prose isn't as good as his later books. And so because of that, the battle scenes are a little bit confusing, which is why Heartsong has the best fights, in my opinion. Thomas's letters to each of his children are beautiful to me. And you won't really get that, what I just said, unless you read these books. They're fucking beautiful. And I loved reading every single one of them. Anyways, fantastic ending to the series. Favorite series of all time, which is sort of a lie. My favorite fantasy series of all time. Very true statement. Beautiful fucking fantasy series. The best fantasy series of all time. Though I haven't read much. I've only read like 38 books that I remember. I don't have as many books under my belt. But of the ones I have read, Green Creek novels are fucking fantastic. So, anyways guys, that is it for my little haul of mini reviews Just wanted to touch on these a little bit because I didn't want to make small videos for each and every single one of a mini review on my shorts, which I probably should have done to create more engagement on my channel. But I just wanted to talk about these and not forget about it as well. So, thank you guys for watching. Going to be getting some new books soon, so we'll go start back up and running my reviews. And I will see you guys next time. Iron Book Review out.